Hi, my name is Sari Hewlett. I'm a musculoskeletal physio and have been for nearly 30 years, believe it or not. And my aim of doing this course, which is manage your back clients with ease, is for you guys who are working in the health and fitness arena that aren't medically trained. You don't have that medical background. Why do this course? If you have clients that come to you that have back problems, and now more than ever we are seeing people with more back problems, more issues, especially after COVID, especially after lockdown. People have been sat at home, they've not been doing their normal exercise, and they've just gotten weak and inactive and ready to move, but maybe can't move as they used to because of pain. Now, many people just modify their exercises. So, especially if you're a personal trainer or you work in the fitness arena or you teach classes, you're a pilates instructor, you're a yoga instructor, you might be doing sports training where you're teaching a sport. The thing is that back pain is a very blanket view. It doesn't really tell you much. So if a client rocks up with back pain, they could have a disc problem, they could have a facet joint problem, they could have a problem with their sacroiliac joint, they could have a problem with scoliosis. And there's different things that you would do with those different groups. So the purpose of the Manage Your Back Pain clients with ease is really to teach you the nitty-gritties of what does that mean? What does it mean if somebody comes in with a disc problem? What can I do with them? What can't I do with them? And you will then become more able to manage those clients in a better way. Your knowledge will increase. You will have some background understanding of what a disc is. What happens if you have an acute disc, and an acute disc should not be exercising. An acute disc should be managing themselves, because the risk of making that worse is really high. So we'll go through what the signs are, what people who come in with a disc issue will present like, and if they're struggling to do things like squats and overhead reaches, or they're struggling if they lean backwards, you'll understand why. Same thing with things like I'm a physio, so I have a myriad of clients that come in and they want to get better, they want to sort of manage their pain, they want to be getting stronger. We build up their core strength, we get them to the point where they are comfortable enough to go into either their old sport or they go into a gym setting. And I'm really quite happy working with, other professionals. I'm quite happy to say, look, there's my business card. If they have a question, this is your list of what you can and can't do. Please feel free to give this to your instructor whenever you choose where you're going. They can always ring me and ask for advice. And I can pretty much say, nobody ever does. Nobody ever does ring and say, look, can you explain to me what I can and can't do with this client? And then we get the client back because they've hurt themselves or they've re-injured themselves. The other side of it is I have actually rang gyms or rang studios or rang places that have got my clients, because I'm quite happy to work with my client and still keep them as active as I can be and still doing some sort of things that they can do, but with certain caveats in place, like, yes, you can still do this, but you can't lift your shoulder past here. Yes, you can still do this, but you can't lean backwards just for the minute until we settle this down. So I have rang and spoke to people's instructors or trainers or whoever it is looking after them and said, look, so-and-so can still come in. They don't need to cancel their memberships. They don't need to put it on hold. However, they do need to do on this. Can you modify it this way for them? If they're on this, can you make sure they avoid this movement? And having that conversation with the instructor or trainer has been great. And then I have the client come back saying, oh, the trainer said it didn't matter, I can still do it and I'm worse. So, at the end of the day, you have the power to make your clients excel at what they can do, and you have that influence of the client where you have somebody in your care who, if you take a little bit of knowledge and apply that knowledge, you can get them so much further. And also, if you take reacting and discussing with an allied health professional like myself, then I can say to you, look, this client's got a disc problem. At the moment, they can't bend that way very comfortably. So just avoid that for the next week or two, and then they can carry on. Instead, can you keep them in straight lines? Can you stop them from side bending just for the time being so it doesn't irritate? And then you're going to be a personal trainer or an instructor who I am very happy to send my clients to, because I know actually you're working with us. You're working with us and you're not working against us. And our clients are progressing because I can keep them moving and I can get them better and I can improve what they're doing, and you're actually following through and working and saying, look, they're struggling with this position or they're struggling with this. Is there something I can do that can help? And then I will say, yeah, there is. You need to, maybe just look at tweaking it this way. So instead of them doing it where it's here, maybe have them here. Instead of it doing where they're sort of leaning forward, maybe just do it where they're slightly more upright. So then we have the client improving, your knowledge is improving because you start to recognize, oh, okay, that's because it's causing that problem here, and I just need to change and modify things around. So my aim with doing this program, which is manage your back clients better or manage your back clients with ease, is really to give you some basic knowledge. So week 1 is going to be all about anatomy and some areas of what in the back can cause you pain. There's some structures in the back that don't feel pain, and there's some structures in the back that do. So at least you know where and what that is, and also what normal posture is. Week 2, we're going to go through discs. So what does it mean for a client who's got a disc prolapse? What does it mean for a client that's got a bulging disc? And what influence does that have on what you can give to a client? So somebody who has a disc problem or a disc prolapse or a disc bulge, you're definitely not going to get them loaded and doing squats with weights underneath their shoulders, because that's creating quite a compressive force on their spine. But you might get them doing a very similar thing in a lying position where they're not as loaded on their spine. Week 3, we're doing spondylosis and facet joints. So it's all about, an arthritic type or a wear and tear issue on the joints. And again, similar thing, what does that look like to a client? What does it mean? Week 4 is going to be about sciatica. So what can cause sciatica? Is it a nerve problem? Is it a trigger point problem? Is it a disc problem? And week 5 is all about the sacroiliac joint and pelvis and pubic bone pain. Week 6 is about scoliosis and kyphosis, and week 7 is all about the inflammatory conditions, so ankylosing spondylitis, spondylitis and spondylolisthesis. So with these clients, there's definitely big no-nos with what they can and can't do. So not to blind you with science, it's really to have a basic layman's, these are the conditions, this is what it means. It means that this area is inflamed, and when it's inflamed, it's going to hurt if it's pinched. This area is a little bit worn, and if you load it, it's going to cause pain. This is how you can strengthen it without loading it. So, we all have those clients that can come in and they can do 2 sessions a week, but get them to do 4 sessions a week and they just can't manage it. It's that overload. So it's going to give you a bit of ideas on how you can then manage those a little bit better. Is there certain things that you should avoid? Definitely. With a spondylolisthesis client, it means that they've got a little bit of a slip in one of their vertebrae, which means that you can't put them on their tummy and you can't extend them. So all your Supermans, which we think are great because they're back strengthening work, will actually make a spondylolisthesis client 100 times worse. So that's the purpose of the course. The idea is that it will just give you 6 or 7 weeks of information on the major back conditions. When people say, I want to get stronger, but I do have a back problem. And like I say, it then breaks those back problems down into 6 weeks of content, which will cover the 6 weeks of the major different conditions, what they look like, what to look for, what kind of things those clients would get better with, and what kind of things would generally make those clients worse, so that you come out at the end of it being somebody like me is able to converse with and say, right, they're a sciatica client, they're going to struggle doing quadriceps extensions, quads, leg extensions. They're going to struggle in a seated position because it puts the nerve on a stretch. But they're going to be great if you do quads in a different way. They might be happy doing squats, but they won't like seated leg extensions. Somebody like an SIJ or a pelvis problem, we're going to be able to say, look, keep those double legs. They're going to be great if you do things in double legs. They're not going to like anything single legs because it causes the pelvis to rotate in two different ways, and that makes their pain worse. So it's going to be really functional, really easy for you to implement. Doesn't mean that you can treat and rehab somebody who's got back pain that's in pain. No, the idea is that if they're in pain and they're needing treatment, that they come to a health professional like a physio who will actually treat them. What it does mean is that you can then adapt your exercises more effectively so that you can then manage them when they're at that strength stage, when they're ready to be moving a bit more, or when they're working with their physio or their health professional, whether it be a chiro or, you know, an osteopath or a physio. You know, everyone sees different people these days. The idea is that you've got enough knowledge that you can recognize, if I do that with them, it might make them worse. So let's try this way first. And if you're not comfortable or you're not happy or you're not sure, that you can look it up and maybe have a little bit of a powwow. Hopefully we'll have some sort of remit where we're able to discuss things because the group will be live. So the actual course will be live. So if you have a question, you can always shoot it. If you've got a client that it rings true with and you say, that will explain why so-and-so could do double leg lunges or squats, but they can't do single leg lunges. That would explain why they could do it this way, but they couldn't do it this way. And then you'll start getting that knowledge base that's improving. So we have pre-sale on at the moment. So with our Black Friday sale and with our pre-launch coming up, the early bird pricing will stay until the 30th of November. After that, it will revert back to normal pricing and we will start the course proper on Monday, the 8th of December. So it would be fabulous to see you there. If you have any questions, then please feel free to flick me an email at info@corefusion.net.au. So that's info@corefusion.net.au. And if you'd like to hear more or know more about our course, then feel free, just flick me a message. Otherwise, hopefully we'll see you on our course soon. And hopefully you will be the personal trainer or the Pilates or yoga or dance or fitness instructor that we can liaise with, because we know that you're talking with a little bit of knowledge and understanding behind, so we're able to converse and say, and you have that understanding of why things need to be modified in the way that they need to be modified, but also it will gain you referrals. You know, if you're able to liaise with allied health professionals and know a little bit of what you're talking about, you do not have to be an expert, but you do need to come across knowing that you're understanding what we're telling you and why. And if you have a question, then why not be able to ask it and say, look, can you explain to me why this happens and they get worse and this happens and they get better? Because that is how we all learn, and that at the end of the day we're all here for our clients. So take care. If you'd like to know a bit more, then obviously flick me an email. If you're interested, then the sign up for our course should be below. Thanks for watching.